Did you know there's a state-run campground on Cape Cod that boasts over 400 campsites, 7 yurts for luxury camping, 8 different ponds, access to the beach on Cape Cod Bay, over 15 hiking trails, and connects to the more than 25 miles of Cape Cod Rail Trail? Join me as I explore Nickerson State Park, the history, and some noted family in this week's episode of Campgrounds with the Yankee Camper. Located along Cape Cod Bay in the mid-Cape town of Brewster, Nickerson State Park is the first public-owned campground built in Massachusetts and is one of the state's most popular. Originally opened in 1934, the park now covers almost 2,000 square acres and offers 418 rustic campsites that are very wooded and well separated. These can accommodate RVs up to 35 feet long. The park is opened from mid-April until mid-October. Online reservations can be made up to 4 months in advance, and walk-in registrations are not allowed. Be aware that the sites fill up fast. When I checked on May 11th, there was no availability for Memorial Day weekend, nor for the 4th of July. However, there were still 128 campsites available for Labor Day weekend. All of the campsites are dry camping. There's no electricity, water, or storage on any of the sites. There is water available throughout the park in spigots. The cost for Massachusetts residents is $22 per night. Out-of-state residents, it jumps to $75 per night, which includes a $5 surcharge for park maintenance. Also, there is a $4.50 non-refundable transaction fee per campsite reservation for everyone. Nickerson State Park is the largest state-run campground in Massachusetts. If you decide to go, plan on bringing a bicycle or walking quite a bit. It's over 3 miles from the park entrance to the far point of Area 6. The roads, however, are well maintained, and there's plenty of trails that run alongside for pedestrians and bicycles. Check-in time is 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. Check-out time is 11 a.m. And camping is limited to 14 cumulative days at any one park from Memorial Day to Labor Day. Named for Roland C. Nickerson, it was donated to the state by his wife and daughter following his passing. This was his and his son's hunting and fishing grounds. Before we talk about the campground specifics and amenities, let me tell you about Roland and the Nickerson family of Cape Cod. Roland Crosby Nickerson was clearly born with a silver spoon firmly ensconced in his mouth. His parents, Samuel and Matilda Nickerson, were not. The couple was from Chatham, a town on the elbow of Cape Cod that had been founded by William Nickerson, who purchased land from Mataquasan, a sachem connected with the Wampanoag Nation in 1656. By the time Samuel was born, the Nickersons had been living in Chatham for 8 generations. At around age 28, after having lost a business with his brother in Florida, Samuel Mayo Nickerson married Matilda Pinkham Crosby, his cousin, and the couple moved to Chicago, where Samuel was part of a distillery with his wife's father-in-law and her siblings. There he made his fortune. In 1864, he was vice president of the Chicago Railroad and went on to become vice president, then president of the First National Bank of Chicago. While he made his money in the Windy City, his heart was on Old Cape Cod. Matilda had received property in Brewster from her family, and Samuel built a summer home for his only son, Roland and wife Addie as a wedding present in 1890, naming it Fieldstone Hall. There's no doubt that Roland was financially well off. Working for a brokerage firm, then moving to New York, they spent the warmer months in Brewster, hunting and fishing on what was called the largest game preserve in Massachusetts. The couple had 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. While on the Cape, Roland and his son, Roland Jr., would hunt in the woods or fish in the kettle ponds formed during the Glacial Age, the largest being Cliff Pond, on the property his parents had purchased as strips of undeveloped land woodlots and cobbled together. Fieldstone Hall was the host of many social events, including visits from President Grover Cleveland, who had his summer house in Bourne, less than 40 miles away. In May of 1906, when perhaps a spark from a passing train caught one of the adjacent cottages, or maybe from the basement, Roland, having just arrived the day before, could only sit on the lawn and watch as the flames spread to his beloved summer residence and turned it to ashes. At first coming across as stoic, Nickerson was literally broken-hearted at the loss and suffered a fatal myocardial infarction 2 weeks later. Addie picked up the pieces and set about rebuilding the estate into one of Cape Cod's most impressive architectural achievements. Life proceeded relatively uneventfully, other than Roland Jr. getting married in 1912. He joined the Naval Reserve during World War I and was eventually assigned to Washington, D.C. In the fall of 1918, he contracted the flu, which led to pneumonia and his death, leaving behind a wife and 2 sons. In 1934, Addie, along with daughter Helen, transferred a good portion of the game preserve to the state of Massachusetts to honor her husband and son, and the Roland C. Nickerson State Park was created. 5 years later, Addie passed away. During the 1930s, the Civilian Conservation Corps was working on the land, and the area was opened to the public as the first state park to offer camping, although there were some state forest sites that had rough camping areas previously. In 1945, the family sold the estate to the Missionaries of La Salette, which used it as an educational facility for over 35 years, until it was purchased and converted into a luxury hotel with a golf course in the 1980s. As mentioned, the Nickerson family has been on Cape Cod since the 17th century. William Nickerson, the progenitor, is actually one of my ancestors. In doing research for the park, I found my way to the Nickerson Family Association Research Center in Chatham. Located near the site where William and Anne first built their home, the association has 2 Nickerson buildings on site and is working to construct a third. The Caleb Nickerson House is an example of dwellings at the turn of the 19th century and is open to the public, with limited hours, during the summer. A tour may be able to be arranged at other times by contacting the association. The organization holds an annual Nickerson Family Reunion on the property in Chatham and is dedicated to assisting those who are looking for their family ties back to the original settlers. It was founded in 1897 by William Emery Nickerson, who helped Gillette bring safe shaving to the world. I'll let you know about him in a moment, but first, allow me to tell you more about the campground amenities. The campsites are generously sized and flat with a picnic table and fire ring. There's also a cooking grate which will pivot over the top of the flames. Most sites are set well back from the road, minimizing noise from vehicles and people on bicycles. Signs are posted when exiting a camp area to remind campers to be sure that their campfire is dead out. There's a centrally located camp store which offers firewood and other camping supplies, as well as food and ice. The bathroom where I stayed in Area 4 was clean and neat, and there were 2 sinks. There was also an electric hand dryer. Included in the same space were two showers, one being larger to accommodate the Americans with Disabilities Act requirements. Stainless steel hooks are provided for hanging things, and there's a small corner seat. The second shower is a small single stall, with the bench seat being outside of the shower area. Outside of the building was a stainless steel sink with sprayer for doing dishes. Dumpsters are located on the main road a short way from the campground exit and offer multiple units, as well as a wire bin for propane cylinder disposal. A dump station for RVs is located along the main road and designed so that it can be entered from either side. The park playground is located just outside areas 2 and 3. It's a decent size, offering multiple opportunities to climb, including a rope challenge and faux rocks. Descent is provided by a traditional plastic slide attached to the play structure, as well as a fireman's pole. Individual spring ride-on animals provide rocking action, but there was no teeter-totter for shared play. The swing set provided 3 for older children and 2 for younger, as well as an inclusive seat. Distributed around the edge are benches and picnic tables for supervision. There's also 2 picnic tables close together for a larger group. A bicycle rack is provided for those who arrive on 2 wheels, and the parking lot will accommodate several vehicles and has a basketball hoop. There was a bathroom building close by, but these were closed due to the early season. Let's take a walk down to Cliff Pond. See what that looks like. They told me at the office that it might be a little bit steep, but to go down past the big rock. That looks like the big rock to me. This is maybe a little steeper than I had anticipated. Maybe we'll try the trail to Camp Loop 2. I suspect this is going to take me a lot further away from my campsite than I had originally anticipated. But at least it's not quite so steep. Well, this looks a little more promising. Well, as I expected, that took me a lot further away from my campsite than I wanted to be. But at least I'm on the road in section 3 and heading back to section 4. While I make my way back to the campsite, let me tell you about William Nickerson. I've had my beard since the early 80s. I've only shaved it once, in the late 90s, when, for Halloween, I went to work with a bald face and in a suit. I was pretending to be a professional. Nobody believed me. I use an electric razor every couple of days to remove the stubble from my cheeks and underneath, but it's not a daily routine. Why am I telling you this? Well, if I lived 100 years ago, I'd probably shave every day. I'd probably use a Gillette safety razor, and I'd most likely use the razor blades perfected by William E Nickerson, the founder of the Nickerson Family Association. Born in Provincetown at the tip of Cape Cod in 1853, William went on to become one of the first chemical engineer graduates of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in 1876. In 1893, he was awarded a patent for an improvement on the light bulb by using cement to seal the vacuum within the glass interior. His company began selling these improved bulbs and was promptly sued by Thomas Edison. Around this time, he met King Gillette. Yes, that was his actual name, not his title, although it could be argued that he went on to become part of shaving royalty. Gillette was an idea man with great business acumen, but no practical engineering experience. Nickerson understood how to design and create mechanical devices, but didn't really have the disposition for business. Shaving at the time required the single-edge blade to be stropped before use. Gillette believed there was a market for a razor that could be used a few times, then thrown away. Nickerson set out to solve the problem and was the first employee and vice president of the American Safety Razor Company in 1901. In 1903, the name was changed. Both men agreed that when building a business focused on shaving, including the name Nickerson may not lead to the best choice for business. So the Gillette Safety Razor Company was launched with King using his likeness to sell the shavers. There were problems at the start, but Nickerson developed a method for grinding and hardening the replaceable blades, and by 1905, the business had started to move internationally. During the first part of the 20th century, several days' stubble was socially acceptable until America entered World War I in 1917. Military regulations then required soldiers to be clean-shaven, and Gillette secured an exclusive agreement with the U.S. Army and Navy to provide the razors to assure that action. By the end of the war, GIs had become accustomed to daily shaving, and Gillette continued to sell to these veterans post-war, increasing sales significantly. Both razors and shavers continued to advance, but William Nickerson, now advancing in years, moved on to other projects, including involvement with Boston University, where he donated the funds to purchase an athletic field in 1926. Although since moved, Nickerson Field is still named in his honor. William Nickerson retired from Gillette about a year before his death in 1930. Now you know. I'd considered going clean-shaven in honor of Mr. Nickerson's achievements, but given that he's only my sixth cousin 3 times removed, the beard stays. One of the reasons for Nickerson State Park's popularity is that it's centrally located on Cape Cod. In about half an hour, you can be on Main Street in Hyannis, or take one of the ferries to Nantucket or Martha's Vineyard. An hour west will put you in Falmouth, or along the Cape Cod Canal. Less than an hour's drive away to the north, and you can be at the tip of the Cape in Provincetown. And less than 15 minutes away, you'll be at the main entrance to the National Seashore. The campground also has a cumulative distance of 35 miles for hiking and bicycling, in addition to the 8 miles of paved roads within the park that connect directly to the 26-mile Cape Cod Rail Trail, which will allow you to avoid the parking fee of $5 for Massachusetts residents or $20 for non-residents. However, there are a few locations near the trail where you can park for free. Check out the website at mass.gov for more information. Nickerson also has an amphitheater where the park hosts events throughout the summer. But the biggest advantage is the access to freshwater ponds throughout the park. Several of the ponds, including Cliff Pond, are stocked with trout throughout the year. Access to the fishing dock is off the main road within the park. There's also a boat ramp on the other side of the pond for launching small watercraft into either Cliff Pond or Small Cliff Pond. Flax Pond offers a beach for swimming and paddle sports. Boat rentals are also available at Flax Pond. It should be noted that dogs are not allowed on the beach at Flax Pond and is clearly marked. Picnic areas are also spread throughout the park along the shores of several of the ponds. Centrally located within the park is a fire watchtower. This is not open to the public, but I thought it was interesting. If you're looking for a camping experience on Cape Cod, I recommend checking out Nickerson State Park in Brewster, Massachusetts. I hope that you've enjoyed this video and will consider giving it a thumbs up. If you'd like to stay up to date about the videos that I put out on campgrounds, camping gear, and cooking in a mess kit using shelf-stable food with no refrigeration, please subscribe to my channel. I also hope you have a chance to get outdoors, and thank you for watching. Have a great week.